Hi everyone, my name is Deborah Pae. I am Professor of Cello at Eastern Michigan University's School of Music and Dance and the cellist of the Formosa Quartet. I wanted to do a follow-up video on the MSBOA All-State High School auditions and particularly focus on something that I didn't necessarily go over in the last video, but would like to focus on briefly today. So cellists, you have to prepare a series of scales and be ready to play them in real time without any flaws or pausing or redos. So one thing that I wanted to mention today is that intonation is kind of a given. We all want to hear really good intonation, but the question is, how do you practice good intonation? So I know one of the scales is A major in 3 octaves. And so I'm going to demonstrate a couple of ways that you can practice your intonation, really getting the overtones of your cello to ring as much as possible when playing these scales. So let's just take A major, for instance, and I'm choosing this one because we have open strings that correspond with the key. Beginning with the very first note, you want to make sure that that first A is really buzzing. And when I say buzzing, I mean that the overtones of that note are ringing all throughout the instrument. One indication that you can use, a visual cue, is to look at your open A string. And if as you're playing the low A, you see that upper A string buzzing and vibrating without even, doing anything, that means your center of intonation, or that pitch, is actually quite spot on. So another thing that I'm listening for is the resonance. I can hear the overtones. I can hear actually that open A string buzzing and ringing. So say I can't necessarily use a visual cue, I can use my ears as a guide. Another way that you can really check your intonation is to use another string, such as your open D string, to tune the A. The A that I'm playing and my open D string will form a perfect fourth interval. And usually when the interval is very well in tune, you can hear the interval sort of have an expanded range of resonance. So for instance, if I were to play kind of a flat A, so you can tell it's kind of off-putting, right, to listen to. So now that relationship between the A and the open D is much more pleasing, much more resonant. Even that C sharp against the open D has kind of, it's a dissonant interval, but it has its own kind of buzz when it's really in tune. Even that E. So using another alternate string, usually that's open, as a guide for a more centered intonation is a great way to practice. So say you get the A, right? Okay, great, you've got the A. But then you ask me, well, how do I start the scale or start with that A without, checking against the open D string? Okay, so this is where in your practice you can start to physically internalize where is that really in tune A sit in the arm and in the hand? Where on my fingertip or my pad does it generally and consistently land? So, right, so that's pretty in tune. Now, in my practice session, I'm actually going to take my left hand off and see if I can recreate that again without checking. Yeah, it's really in tune. I can even tell, my A string is ringing. I can hear the overtones. I can see it buzzing. It's a great indication. Okay, so again, in your practice, take your left hand off. Start from ground zero. Put your left hand there. You can even lightly pluck with your left hand or another finger. And then you can be pretty sure that you're going to have a very in tune A. Now it's the same thing whether you have A flat major in 3 octaves as well. So I'm going to gently listen for my A flat because my ear is right here, right? But another way to tune it in your practice is you can tune it against your open C as well. So there are ways that you can create checkpoints in your preparation with particular notes. And so I encourage you, as you're preparing these scales, that you begin to develop a physical archive of, how does it feel in the left hand? Where is my arm? What's the height of my arm? Where is my thumb gently grazing? In what position? The more you do this, the more you will develop a muscle memory. And of course, again, it's not just based on muscle memory. You're going to rely on your ear as well. But these are some helpful tools when preparing scales and trying to hone a much more centered intonation. I hope this was helpful. Again, check out the other videos in this MSBOA mini-series for all state auditions, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Good luck.